You might have noticed a change in your neighborhood lately. Yep, Sprint stores are now T-Mobile stores. Now that Sprint is T-Mobile, you get more coverage, value, and benefits than ever before. We've invested billions to bring our 5G from big cities to small towns across America. And great coverage is just the start. From high-speed mobile hotspot data to weekly deals and giveaways, our customers get tons of great benefits. Head to your new T-Mobile store to learn more.
Qualifying service and capable device required. Coverage not available in some areas. Some uses may require certain plan or features. See T-Mobile.com.
Introducing Peacock, the new free streaming service from NBC Universal. It's hit movies, current shows, live sports, trending bits, and timeless hits. And that's why you can't not watch. Peacock. Watch for free. Upgrade for more. Stream now at peacocktv.com. Law & Order SVU streaming now.
Welcome back to Smashing Hits Podcast. This is going to be our final Rivals 2 recap. We actually watched episodes 10, 11, and 12 just to finish it all out. So this podcast is going to be a little longer than our other Rivals recaps, but we've taken a little bit of time off from that. My name is Zach. I'm here with my best friend Jake.
How's everybody doing tonight?
And my best wife Hannah is back tonight after not being here with us last week.
And best wife, you guys should meet his worst.
Yeah, you should meet my worst wife, which is also Hannah.
Hey!
I mean, it's true. You're the best and worst one because I only have one.
I don't like being called worst, though.
You're the best and worst part of his world because you are every part of his world.
His world revolves around me.
So
and Funko Pops and knobs. Hand, Funko Pops, and knobs.
I don't think
in
that's
that order.
fully
No,
accurate.
And ska music.
The knives.
That's
the
probably
knives would
bigger
be
than the
second.
other ones.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I have watched episode 12 twice.
Well, here's the thing. You didn't tell us
you
you
were
were
watching the last episode.
Do I have to tell you guys when I watch Because of Winn-Dixie or The Mummy?
Yes, because I
no.
want to watch those.
Also,
those are good movies.
We had only been watching 2 episodes, and when you said you were on your way, actually you said, I've got 30 minutes left in this episode, and I had seen when we started watching, you were only halfway through episode 11. So I was like, okay, he's going to finish episode 11. And I told Hannah, I was like, hey, when he gets here, we'll just say, do you want to watch episode 12 just to knock it out? And then we're done with Rivals too.
Wow.
And then you got here and you're like, I watched all of them. And we're
we were
like, okay, well,
yeah,
you didn't say that.
watched the 2. We're going to watch the last one, the absolute ending of the finale to find out who won. And you're like, yeah, that's what I already watched. And we're like, why did you do that?
Yeah, well.
Without telling us.
It's like you kept it a secret.
It's not like you have to tell us every time you watch something, but when it comes to
things that we're recording together,
well, and we've been watching 2
over.
episodes at a time.
Well, and what was bizarre is you guys had to verify with me about 5 or 6 different times that I actually watched the finale.
Because you hadn't told us that you were...
Well, I kept it going as a running joke because
Zach,
he asked, and I was like, oh, so you watched the one where you found out who won? And you're like, yeah, that's what I just said. And I was like, yes, I know.
I just wanted to make sure that you didn't just watch 11 and 12 and then you actually watched 10 and didn't skip over that. That's what I was meaning. Because I understood from what you said that you'd watched the entirety of the finale.
He was like...
But I was like, did you watch 10? Because that's what we're going to talk about first.
You're like, did you see who won? Who won? How did they win? How long did it take them to win?
I didn't say that.
Where did they win?
Didn't say any of that.
What show was it on?
I didn't say any of that
what
at
show
all.
did they
season?
win?
Who's the host?
You're just lying.
Why did
now.
they win?
Is it reality or is it scripted?
Well,
was it animation?
I never said any of those things.
Did you watch it at home or did you watch it on your phone in the car?
Overhand.
Huh?
The joke's overhand.
No, I'm going to keep it going. I'm going to dig it into the ground.
Yeah.
So we did watch all 10, 11, and 12. We're not going to watch the reunion because it's a reunion from 8 years ago. There's no reason to watch that. It's all happened and moved on. And we just want to be done with Rivals because we've been so busy doing Patreon exclusive stuff. And
we have done a lot of Patreon stuff in the last 2 or 3 weeks.
And that's what's pushed this Rivals recording back is because we had time-specific Patreon stuff we wanted to get done. And then also, obviously, the new season going on, that's kind of taking precedence, which new seas's good. It's a good season so far.
It has been really good.
So yeah, we're recording tomorrow night. Today's Tuesday, but this probably won't drop before tomorrow's episode because I don't want to drop 2 episodes in one day, so I'll probably drop the new one.
This one Thursday?
Probably Friday or Saturday, just to to give them something to have fun with on the weekends.
But you never know. Just have your hands out and ready. Could fall into your lap at any time.
They could. That's why you got to be subscribed. Rate and review us on iTunes. Subscribe to us wherever you get all your podcasting needs. Some people... someone messaged me today that they're going back and listening to all of the old episodes that they didn't listen to from the beginning.
Oh, no.
And
Those are kind of a hot mess.
have you gone back and listened to them?
There's a reason I haven't.
Oh, well, to be fair,
I
you've never
remember-
listened to anything.
I
we've ever
remember
done.
recording them.
Have you listened to the Cam interview yet?
Yes.
No.
You can expect... It is... You know what? I actually...
I haven't gone back and listened.
I've gone back and listened to maybe 2 or 3. Not all the way through, but just kind of skimming through. We're like a television show. It's like we had to find our characters.
Oh, yeah.
The first,
Yeah.
that first episode in particular, episode 0,
Yeah.
it was like, what do you guys think about CT?
Did we
It was
say
just
that?
Very, I don't know, but it was
I know.
very just like...
I know. I had
you know?
a lot of notes.
There was never... There was no, how's everybody doing tonight?
No.
There was no...
No nipple boys?
No nipple boys, no Josh's women's gift to the earth, no nothing. It was just...
Nobody knew I couldn't swim?
Well, we couldn't make in jokes until they happen.
Yeah,
and so
well, here we are.
Yeah, it's that first episode. The main thing was we were like, we've got to have enough stuff to talk about.
And then it went on forever.
That first episode's not that long.
Maybe an hour.
Well, then maybe it was
Yeah.
it was the first official, like episode number 1, that went on forever.
I don't think that's. I mean, I don't know.
Zach and I actually talked about this, I think yesterday or day before yesterday, how earlier on he used to have pages and pages of notes. And now we talked about this in the car within the
This
last
is my favorite
48
Zach and Hannah
hours
segment right
because
here.
he brought it up. We were talking about taking notes when we record for podcasts, and he said, now I just have like little phrases and like keywords, and those are my notes that I go off of. Whereas he used to write everything out and have just tons and tons of notes. And now, like Jake, you even said earlier tonight, you're like, when I'm not doing fantasy points, I don't know what to take notes on. And you're like, I hardly have any notes. And I'm like, yeah, that's
you
the
can fit
thing.
how many notes I have in between my index finger and my thumb.
That also could be how small you
The
shrink
font.
it down.
Yeah, well.
I used to take all of our notes, all my notes in a notebook, and I filled that from front to back, and then I moved on to another one, and then I finally started doing them on my phone, just for the sake of convenience, because then you can pull them up on like your iPad or whatever else you need, and you can pull them up later a little bit easier. Just because I break it down episode by episode. When you're like having to scroll back through like pages of stuff, it's not fun to deal with, and I have bad handwriting. So
Well,
You do have bad
Thank you
handwriting.
guys for hanging with us through the good and the bad.
and
Also,
the show's over.
It's been a great run. Hope you guys find another podcast to listen to. Good night.
Also, hope you guys all had a blast in Chicago. We were not there.
No,
Would you have liked to have been there?
I mean it wasn't feasible right now.
Yeah,
just
money's pretty
Time
tight.
wise.
Well,
Yeah, that's not it.
It's because
That's
one,
not it.
we're all going on vacation in a month from
Together.
now. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. We're gonna have. Can we document this? Like do a videography type thing? Can we just a vlog?
I'm
Of
not.
our trip to Utah.
I'm not filming it.
If you bring your cameras, we can film
You
and
ain't got
take
a
pictures
GoPro,
of
you
whatever.
just
I do have a
your-
camera right there.
Oh man, let's just strap that thing up.
It's not a GoPro. It's not made for
I
like.
do kind of want to get a GoPro.
GoPro.
I had one and somebody stole it.
I do kind of want to get a GoPro for when we do stuff.
I'm gonna jump off a mountain.
I don't know what you're gonna land
yeah,
on.
but it's not a water trip.
Oh, is it not?
It's gonna
They
be,
ain't got no
no,
water
there's
down there.
it's gonna be in,
no.
like yes, they do, but it's gonna be in like the 50s. They have water there.
Yeah, in bottles.
Oh god.
You think that you've seen water in Utah
I have
all over.
at the salt flats.
No, just in general, there's water. There's
Hey, man,
lakes and stuff.
But if any of you guys are in or near Utah and you want to grab a coffee together or something,
Not
No
if you're
thanks.
not if you're in Moab or Zion. That's
we're gonna
too
be
far.
we're gonna be in the Salt Lake, Park City area mostly around there.
So if anybody's in Salt Lake and wants to hang out, then you can call us.
drop in the comments. Let us know.
Yeah. Also, this is not the right show to be pushing that because not nearly as many people listen to these older recaps as they do
well,
the newer ones.
Well,
That's
he
on
can
them.
bring it up tomorrow night too.
That's on
I'm
them.
gonna cut it out if you do.
Okay.
Just edit it out.
Great.
So
It was not feasible for us to go to Chicago because we're gone next month for a week, and
Yes, give
there's
them-
just
Give them the whole rest of the calendar year here. Yeah.
it didn't
so many things going on right now. I think I'm going to be out of town.
to be totally
week.
totally honest, I just wasn't super comfortable also in a tight environment in a big city right now with all the numbers going up around Tennessee and things like that.
Yeah.
And money's pretty tight.
You keep coming back to that.
Is your money tight, Jake?
No, it's meant collectively.
We all share the same bank account.
We're on a small budget here.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to buy some bread. I gotta go get some bread tonight.
Okay.
That bread.
So patreon.com/smashingheads podcast does have all of the Patreon exclusive things we've been doing. I'm assuming we're going to do more Survivor to finish that out soon.
Hot Morgan's gone, but
She lives on in my fantasy football team.
We also found out that she lasted long enough that she'll come back for the tribal council stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So she's gone, but not quite forgotten.
I mean, well, even if she was gone, you can't.
I wasn't gonna forget her, yeah.
Gonna forget
Yeah.
her.
So anyway, check all that out, and then follow us on social media at Smashing Heads on Twitter, at Smashing Heads Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. Like just for example, we're doing a fantasy football draft, which is over, so you missed that. But we also did a Zoom hangout during the draft. We've been doing the Survivor recaps, like we said. We also did a Redemption House where we did the draft order, and then also answer all of the patrons' questions.
I think that Redemption House was some of our best work.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it got really again. All the people in the Slack group seemed to really enjoy it.
Was that another Nipple Boys night?
It was just Jake and I. We recorded for 3 hours straight that night.
We did.
Yeah. So it's
What a night, though.
check all that stuff out, and
I started sliding his socks off of my toes.
not that I remember. So let's get into
I don't want to.
let's get into episode 10 of Rivals 2, which, by the way, let's make a pact that we don't have to talk about every single thing in in these 3 episodes.
Yes, please. If either of you, we all have the right. If any of us, so Zach, if you bring up something that one of us feels is not discussion worthy, I cut you off. We cut you off. If Han does it, we cut her off. If I do it, you cut me off.
I punch you in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with, because again, like, you've all watched this season at this point. It'd be weird if you were listening to these and either didn't watch it the first time around or haven't watched it this time around. It's on Paramount Plus, which is still not a good app, but it's got all the challenge stuff, or the most of the challenge stuff. Hannah, before we start, you finally finished this season. You had only watched a handful of episodes beforehand.
I had definitely not gotten this far.
I think this might be one of my top 5 seasons. Just cast, like, drama, the competition, the final. Like, I think this is a really...
You couldn't script it better.
It may not be, like, the best of the best, but it has all the components that you want in a really great season. And I had kind of forgotten about some of them. And then even in the last episode, they showed like a recap of all the crazy stuff that happened, and we've been watching it for so long. I kind of forgot about, like, you had the catch-up thing with Jimmy, and you had,
which is an infamous scene.
Well, you had Wes having the best line of possibly the series about his BMW and his monster truck and all that. So great season overall. But episode 10... basically, everyone's just swimming in the rain, and
you ever done that?
It's showing I have. Yeah. You have, because you can't swim. You're flailing in the rain.
That's a T-shirt.
Not yet. It will be
No.
very soon.
It will be.
This episode was a very heavy CT and DM episode, but not in a positive way. It was very DMCT is manipulating you, which I did not get the impression until further on in this episode.
I think it's unfair to either of them to pick one side or the other, because there's so much history one way or the other, and we did not see everything that has happened between them in these episodes. And then, spoiler, once she goes home, they're fine with each other. You got to remember that they are long time on and off exes, and it's weird. Like there's a weird dynamic in that because it's real easy to go from love to hate in that when there's that much like feeling involved. And so it was a weird thing, but it wasn't a good look for CT. But there also was a lot of times in this episode where it wasn't a good look for Diem.
Yeah. No, like I didn't think she was using him, and apparently most of the other people in the house didn't think so either.
To be fair, that's Bananas just talking a lot of it.
I do think Bananas was very protective of Diem, or trying to be at least, which I guess made me realize how close of friends they actually were, like in real life.
Well, I mean, he starts, telling her, hey, nothing's going to happen after the show, which is not true at all, but I know why he was saying it. Then you get all the girls together, and Paula basically starts getting really upset because she realizes that some of these friendships are going to blow up.
And they did.
Yeah, I mean, again, shout out to Paula for just everything. Like, solid competitor all around. And I think she was right in the final episode. She's like, I feel like people think I'm not good at a lot of stuff. But I think she's really well-rounded. And so she sees it coming that there's going to be conflict, especially if Cook and Cara win the daily and they can't be thrown in. It's going to be the 3 friend teams going against each other. So we get to the daily. It's called Color Correction. It's basically a jog down the beach and then the game Simon.
It's like a mile long, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't even remember. I didn't write down anything.
It's a long run.
Yeah, it is. And at the same time, it's not nearly as long as like what the final would be. And then Jimmy couldn't even make it the first half of the first run before she had to stop. And I was like, well, that's just going to show you how good she'd be in a final.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly Jimmy is the weak part of that team. I mean, Camilla's temper arguably could be the same thing, but I'd take Camilla with a temper any day over Jimmy.
Yeah, because Camilla's at least a really good competitor.
Yeah, if you're trying to win,
yeah,
she's one of the greats.
She does lose her mind sometimes.
Yep.
Which can cost her and you if you're on a team.
But, I mean, Jimmy's the weak link on that team. I mean, honestly, you pair her up with any other girl left in these last 4 teams, and she'd be on a much better team.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jimmy's probably the weakest person on the show at this point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even though Anissa never makes the finals, like it's been a running joke for so long, I'd take Anissa over Jimmy at this point.
Was it Anissa that made the point that Diem is not good in eliminations?
Yes.
Yes.
I meant to look that up.
She said that because once they found out they were going,
She said Diem gets really frazzled. Also, in this daily, Paula says that she's a long distance runner and she's worried about Emily in this, running back and forth. To which I had a note, how did people sleep on Paula?
Emily says later on, like, she's worried about that because she's got really great, like, fitness and she's really strong, but it's not a lot of as much cardio as, like, and it's different. It's a completely, like, and there's different types of even just, like, cardio. Like, when we used to play basketball a lot, which we don't play as much now, there was someone that wanted to play with us, and he was a runner. Like, he would just get up every day and run. And I couldn't do that. But when he started playing basketball with us, I could run up and down the court, and I was fine. And after like 5 or 10 minutes, he was like out of breath, and it's just different. Like there's different types of like fitness when it comes to different areas of
Fitness.
Well, it's not sure. Yeah, just for simple terms. Yeah.
She was 1-5 in eliminations.
Who'd she win against?
Jen in the duel 2.
Jen G.
Was there?
Yeah. That's Jen G. I don't remember her last name really. Yeah, not a great elimination record.
But I think you saw why. I mean, the whole from
She gets in her head.
episode 10 until she went home, like, good Lord.
Well, even in this daily, she freaks out and won't trust Anissa to remember all the colors, and that ultimately cost them to get in last place because she gets frazzled.
She's trying to memorize all of the colors by herself, and if you're smart, you're going to split it up where one of you takes the first half and then the other one takes the other half. But we know that Anissa is good at memorizing things.
And I honestly don't remember when that kind of narrative kind of became common knowledge. Like now Anissa is known as she's really good at puzzles, not good at endurance stuff, but like you can count on her to like figure stuff out. And I don't remember watching this back then being like, oh, Anissa's got this. Like I don't know when that kind of flipped. I remember back then everyone was like, oh, she's great in eliminations, and really she's like 50-50.
Well, Zach, that's something we'd have to all go back and study the tape on.
I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
Cara and Cook finished first in this one. Paula and Emily get second, so that knocks out Jimmy and Camilla and
Diem and Anissa.
Why couldn't I remember their names? I just talked with them. Yeah, they're all out, and so that means they have no chance to be safe. For the guys don't have to do anything today because there's no more guys eliminations.
Well, Diem and Anissa, out of the two of them and Camilla and Jimmy, they were the last to finish, and so
just because Diem got frazzled and just wouldn't let him leave.
That sends them straight to elimination, which sends Diem into an even further state of frazzleness.
Yeah, is that a frazzleness?
Frazzleness.
I don't know. It sounds like Frazzle Rock.
Fraggle Rock.
Fraggle Rock.
I was thinking Miss Frizzle from the Magic School Bus.
Fraggle Rock, and it sounds like frazzleness sounds like a word that they would say while they eat the construction workers' sugar buildings.
I saw a tweet the other day that said
that was my favorite part of the show when
they
would eat the people's houses.
All the kids from the Magic School Bus could be inside your butt right now, and you wouldn't know it.
Oh yeah, they did take it up at one. Yeah,
yeah, Red Ralphie or something.
Red Ralphie.
He was sick, and they're like, "We're gonna go inside him." And they didn't tell him.
That was weird.
Well, it was like they went through his mouth, and it was like a science thing, but they went through his whole body.
And they had to come out his butt
or his penis. It's one or the other.
You can't say that word on this children's podcast.
Well,
Red Ralphie.
That's the correct word for it. So anyway, round 2 they go. It's even more numbers. I think it was 12 the first time and 17 the second time. And Cara tells Cook, she's like, I got it. She's like, I don't know why, but I got it. And so Cook's like, all right. And then they go, and she had it.
Yeah, Paula and Emily spent twice as much time at the lights as Cook and Cara. They got there before them and didn't leave until way after Cook and Cara had left already.
It's just like, it's so weird watching back Cara in these seasons compared to now. Like, even now, though, I'm like, it's a little cringy, but still, she was so much more likable back then. And, like, just watching anything she's in now, I'm like, I don't really care if she's ever back on the show, to be honest. I think they're done. I think her and Polly are on the
she has
FU train at this point.
She has said something about trying to join like wrestling, the wrestling scene.
Jake would have to comment on that.
Has she not said that in the past before?
She has.
It's been years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like if no, I saw where she like actually commented.
How likely would it be for
Instagram.
like a 35, 36-year-old to break in?
I
don't know.
Diamond Dallas Page. That's when he, really started becoming. I mean, you remember Diamond Dallas Page from WCW? That's when he.
Woman Crush Wednesday
went in. What?
You said WCW. Is that Woman Crush Wednesday?
That is World Championship Wrestling.
That was before they bought the WWE
but he was
90s?
in his mid-30s, and he's one of the greats.
But the industry's changed now.
It has.
So that's why I didn't know if like there were any like especially female wrestlers that like make their debut at that age, because it seems like they're all like in their 20s when they're like coming through there.
Yeah.
Because I don't watch wrestling enough. I don't think you even watch wrestling that much now.
No, and I tell you what, if I'm gonna start tuning in, it'd be AEW, 100%.
Well, regardless,
she could be the outlier that makes a later debut.
It's not gonna happen.
I've heard her talk about it a lot in the past, and then she brought it up recently enough. I'm not really on social media a lot right now, but
well, you keep us in the loop, Han.
I didn't think if maybe she was seriously.
I would bet money it's not happening.
Pursuing it.
I'd
just keep us in the loop, Pam. You seem.
I'd give David Arquette the money to get in there before her.
Yeah.
So Bananas, when he finds out DM and them are going in, he's like, "Hey, do you want who do you want? You want Camilla and Jimmy? That's the choice. Like, it doesn't matter that they ended up losing to them. Camilla and Jimmy are the choice to go against.
Yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer. And, like, he whispered to him, obviously that's who you want, right? And then Camilla walked over there and got really upset. She's like, you guys are talking about me behind my back and saying all this crap.
Honestly, pretty tame for a Camilla interaction.
I know. But also, Diem didn't really say anything. It was Johnny just asking, hey, this is who you want, right?
But you got to remember Camilla's... Well, actually, I don't know if she's exes with Johnny at this point.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I can also, I know how I am as a competitor, and even if...
Is it time for a new heating and cooling system? Turn to the experts at Griffith Energy Services and Carrier today and get 0% financing for 18 months on a new heating and cooling system. Get the comfort you deserve from Griffith Energy Services and Carrier. Visit griffithenergyservices.com today for this and other exclusive offers. That's griffithenergyservices.com. License number MDHVACR 01-2278.
Griffith Energy Services. Doggone dependable.
Life gets a lot more magical when you dream. So let's dream of a vacation unlike any other. A magical Disney cruise.
Hiya, pal.
Where new stories meet tales as old as time.
Enchanté, mon ami.
And your family will be cared for the moment you step aboard. Sail from Florida to Disney's private island paradise and get ready for a dream come true with Disney Cruise Line.
Deep down, I know that's the decision. The competitor in me is like annoyed and irritated that it's just an automatic that you're just going to vote me in.
Yeah.
I get that, but she got mad at Diem more so than Johnny.
It's
because she's going against Diem.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all
She's going against
misdirected
Johnny.
anger at this point.
Kind of like the night thing.
Well,
The misdirected anger.
so Diem comes in after this, and like, everyone likes Diem, whatever.
But we have to,
She has a weird, like, hatred for Cook.
I feel like there's something that we weren't shown.
But
Because how did it start? It
But
feels like it
this
came out of
is-
nowhere.
But this is a pattern. If you go back and watch over older seasons with Diem, this is a pattern with her. Where
And
she gets like weirdly, irrationally, like, these weird sort of vendettas towards people.
Yeah.
That's
she's
just like,
fixated
And I
on one
didn't
person.
remember that before
Yeah.
watching back through these old ones.
because I think you want to, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know what Diem went through, and you want to just be like, man, and like nobody's arguing like her character or anything, but in the context of the game,
Yeah.
she had a tendency to just like with one or two or a few of the women in the house just out of nowhere be like the nerve of these.
Yeah, it's like
just
what she latches on to like really
I mean, she called
It's like she's selected a new nemesis for each season.
she called Cook an elitist,
Yeah.
egotistical, and arrogant.
yeah.
Why?
I mean, I honestly, if I had to be like psychoanalytical about it, I think she's threatened by her, and
Cook's
she
a good
knows
competitor.
Cook's a good competitor, but she also doesn't have the ties to the like veteran group that everyone else does.
And even Emily confirmed that, like, when Diem loses control of the situation, this is when she gets crazy. Like,
Yeah,
she
and
gets-
like when she was going, which we're not there yet, but like, yeah, we are. We're here. When she was like going around the house, like in this episode later on, like she looks like something like clicked, and like she's in a completely different headspace. And
Like she's a different person.
yeah, I mean, she puts on the deliberation dress or whatever that they call it, and then Frank eggs it on. He's like, "When was the last time CT kissed you?" And I was like, "Okay, Frank's
Yeah, he
bringing
would be
a
the
kissing
one.
timeline."
yeah.
And so then like she calls CT and Wes in there, and she's like, "Hey, why haven't you guys talked to me about the elimination?" And they're like, "Well, you haven't talked to us about it, and you told us you wanted to go against the tougher team." And she's like, "Yeah, I said that, but I don't want to do it." And it's like, okay, well, you said that if Cook and Kara weren't gonna win that day, you wanted them, even though they were a tough team. But it's like, I don't know. It was a lot of mixed signals, to say the least.
It was a lot of mixed signals, but also I kind of saw her side of it too, because, if roles were reversed, she would approach them and say, "Who do you want us to vote for?"
But I don't think that it's wrong that they didn't.
Maybe not, but Johnny and Frank were not helping the situation by telling her that CT owes her that, like, her whoever she wants, he owes her that much for all the bones that she's thrown to them throughout this season.
What do they talk about when you go into marriage counseling? Uncommunicated expectations.
Okay, yeah. Yeah,
Maybe this was an uncommunicated expectation.
I can see what you mean
I
by
can see
that.
that.
Like she just assumed it was going to be this one way, and he just was like, "You told us you wanted the tougher team," and
Yeah, but also if she
I also think he's really annoyed with her at this point.
Yeah, but also if she comes to you and she's like, obviously I don't want to go against Paula and Emily because one, they are the strongest female team in the house, but two, those are probably their closest allies. I would assume that's not who you want to go against. If there's a very, very, very slim chance of you winning that, why would you want to vote that person in? And so I think she's trying to explain that to them, and they're like, "Oh, but you just kept saying how you wanted the toughest team or whatever," which I kind of think.
I think at that point they were annoyed and just like.
But to me, it was they were showing their cards, which I kind of thought was a jerk move, basically telling her that they're going to vote for Paula and Emily regardless.
Well, their point,
even though she said
their
she doesn't
point
want
of
that.
view was there's no reason to go after Jimmy and Camilla because they've had their back throughout the season, and they are not really close with Paula and Emily.
But Diem and Anissa haven't had their back. They've
They've
had their back the whole season.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but that's the reasoning they gave on camera. Even Wes said, was Jimmy and Camilla have had their back. They don't want to throw them in, and Paula and Emily haven't proved anything at this point as far as eliminations. And
CT was correct in saying all you had to do was not come in last.
I understand that. I totally agree.
I mean,
with that.
I think he is also at the point. It's one of those weird dynamics where it's like an ex, and you're just kind of fed up with it, and it's like you're just being a jerk because you can be. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's kind of what he was doing as well too.
And it just rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like defending like that he did it the right way. All we can go off is what we see and what they tell us. Anyway, Jimmy. I mean, they go to the deliberation. Well, before that, Paula and Emily are crying to Jordan. Well, Paula's crying to Jordan and Marlon. And then Jimmy makes it a big thing.
Jimmy looked like she was ready to hoop. Did you notice that? She had on somebody's...
I think they were Knights, but they were even big. They'd have been big on night.
Yeah.
They were like that.
I thought that it was like a long, loose skirt, and then I realized they were like basketball shorts.
Those are like 3X gym shorts.
They were so big.
It's like if Jinko's made gym shorts.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that happened, and she told everyone she wasn't going to cry. And, I mean, even Paula admitted, she's like, guys don't like to see women cry. We're hoping it changes their mind. Like, it was almost like it was pre-calculated or... pre-calculated? I don't think that's the right... Premeditated. Yeah, calculated or premeditated. But or she just did it, and then in a confessional, she's like, oh, yeah, they don't like it, so...
I could see the tears being like Paula's Hail Mary.
I don't know. You got the deliberation. It basically came down to Jordan and Marlon, and they voted in Jimmy and Camilla, which guarantees Emily and Paula straight to the final with Cook and Cara.
This vote shocked me because Paula and Emily had voted in Marlon and Jordan twice already.
But they're also on their reasoning was that they've dominated so much they deserve to be here.
Which is not typically what you see.
But they're rookies.
I know. That's the thing, like, because Jordan said he saw how hard they worked all season. They put in the work, they put in the effort, which they did. But typically, if another team votes you in, not once but twice, and you hold all the power in whether or not they go in, and you don't do it, that's a rookie move. But also, like, I don't know if maybe Paul and Emily knew the way his brain works and how he sees, whoever works and puts in the effort deserves it, and they were just kind of playing on that, or what? But it worked, whatever they did.
I don't think it's that, to be honest. I think it's just like, if you're looking at the teams, you probably got along with Paula and Emily better than you did with Jimmy and Camilla. Jimmy and Camilla were causing problems at different points, and it's just like I don't know. And like they said, like they'd won like 80% of the dailies, and so I think they're trying to just do them a solid. They deserve to be there. They played better than all the other girl teams, and they ended up winning because of it. So Camilla and Diem start getting into it. It becomes a big thing. Anissa becomes like a big sister role and like steps in. And
CT is rooting for Jimmy under his breath. The whole rest of the house is at the doorway watching, and CT's yelling, "Get her, get her."
Devil's advocate though, if you have an ex and they're acting a little crazy,
She had been acting crazy.
yeah, I don't know if you want to be like, yeah, right there. That's what I'm all about. I get.
No, but he could have just been quiet. He didn't have
Well,
to
he wasn't yelling, Han.
But he didn't have to actively root for the opposing team in front of everybody else in the house.
Well,
because Johnny had
It wasn't anything team oriented. It was just like they were just arguing.
It was a.
He was doing it in front of Johnny.
He was doing it in front of everybody else in the house.
But nobody else heard him. It was like
I think-
right there, kind of whispered to Johnny.
Yeah, I know. And
I think
and Johnny had a weird look on his face. I thought he was about to say something to CT.
I think that it was cut in a way to make it seem like CT was doing more than he was. Because the only time you ever saw CT's side of it was like a cutaway to where he's back behind the glass.
He's leaning on the doorway.
Yeah.
But Johnny was standing in the doorway.
But that's my point. Is he wasn't making a scene of it. He wasn't like yelling it in front of everybody.
The whole house was standing in that doorway watching, and he was at the front, and he was saying that under his breath.
I don't know.
I mean,
And you said he was yelling though.
No, I didn't.
Did I hear that wrong?
You did.
I don't know. Anyway, this is when Diem just kind of like starts like. I wrote that she was almost like a Stepford wife. Like she's just walking around with her wine in her hand.
Well,
and
Camilla
a dress.
or Jimmy made a joke about her walking around, sauntering around the house with her.
Yeah,
wine
and
glass.
it's just like she had like a look like she was out to cause drama or problems, and
if I'm Camilla, like I'm rightfully, I think, in a mood because when Diem and Anissa realized that was the team they were going against, they visibly were like, "Oh yeah, we got it. This is good." Like, if you're Camilla and Jimmy, why wouldn't you be annoyed at that?
no, I
would be too. I think Camilla and Jimmy took it maybe a little too personal. I just think
it's or however much money they're playing
It's
for.
not a
It's
million.
like, nah, dude, like
it's not $1 million. It's not
I
even
ain't
close
no-
to $1 million.
I ain't no chump change out here.
no, and,
No,
and-
I
and-
know. I just think if it were any female team up there, regardless, Diem and Anissa, if it was anybody, if your two options are Camilla and Jimmy versus Paul and Emily, I'd probably be a little excited too, because at least if you're going against Paul and Emily, you likely don't have much of a chance.
You never know, because we just watched on what Spies, Lies, and Allies. Freaking Huey and Amber B won that elimination,
Which is why you temper your emotions.
and like I'm not saying that they were wrong to be excited about that.
I'm not even.
I think it was more of shock that Jordan and Marlon voted that way.
But as the other competitor who just got thrown in, I would take it like
I would take real serious offense to that. Like, okay,
And-
you just gave me like extra fire.
and honestly, like Camilla and Jimmy, because we know like the level they can get to, didn't even really take it that far. Like they can
Yeah.
both go way crazier than what
Well,
anything
we watched
happened.
Camilla zombie walk into a swimming pool.
Yeah, so like the main thing is Diem is lashing out and causing scenes because she's hurt by the way that everything went with CT and all that stuff. Because again, there are feelings there. There's long time feelings going back for years now.
And she's been made to look like a fool.
And then you got Johnny and them egging it on, and they're out by the pool, and they're like, CT, you coming in for the swim? And he's just kind of walks off, and they motion at Diem.
cameras.
Well, they motion at Diem, and she like makes it a point, like, oh, I'm gonna make some trouble now. And then
well, Johnny told Diem
I
that she
know.
needed to talk to CT.
And then he points at the camera. He's like, go, 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 go. And then it wasn't any. It was just like dumb, like drama, but nothing big. And it's just it all became a bigger thing than what it needed to be. And then they go into the final jungle, and that's just my last note was.
Well, Diem cried to Emily about being used and manipulated.
Yeah, I know. She was just hurt. And so they go to the final jungle. It's to be continued. And then episode 11 starts, and we see it's the same elimination from Kara and Cook versus Anastasia and Jessica. That Cook peed in the water and all that stuff.
That was a good one.
There was nothing different about it, right?
No.
So they get going. Basically, Jimmy's not doing anything. Diem's not doing anything. And then finally Jimmy realizes, well, the least I can do is like pick up the rope so Camilla can cut it. And on the other end, you've got Diem just like freaking out.
It's no wonder they lost.
Yeah. I mean, she started off frazzled because she kept saying, I can't reach it. I can't reach it. I can't reach it. She was just freaking out.
And that's going to cause all kinds of problems. And Anissa's like, I need you to help me cut this. And she's not doing that. She's not doing what even Jimmy did. Finally, everyone just tells her, like, hey, like, grab the rope. Like, put your saw between the rope and pick it up. And so she does that. They finally get going. But, I mean, Jimmy and Camilla are so much further ahead at this point. I think they're a full, like, rope cut ahead.
Yeah, and then Anissa starts gassing out.
Which is par for the course, but honestly, this is, a better showing for Anissa than, current seasons, things like that. But, I mean, it wasn't even, like, really a close elimination. Like, Diem freaked out. Anissa couldn't do it on her own. And then, another, by the book, Anissa doesn't make a final. She
goes home in the last elimination before the final.
Yeah, which has happened to her a handful of times. Mm-hmm. So CT was cheering for Diem, for anyone wondering. He was trying to help her out, get on her side. And then they go home, and right before she leaves, CT picks her up. Like, just bends over that railing and picks her up like it's nothing.
Like you do a toddler.
And it's like from such a disadvantage, like height, like that's a lot of like
it's just lower back.
Yeah, like it's just like a lot.
I do that
strength.
exercise every time I do back and biceps, and
you pick up a full grown woman every single time.
I pick up a 45-pound plate.
Okay, well she's
not 45.
She's probably
pounds.
3 of those.
I'm aware. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that she's that much. I'd probably put her at
130. That's 135.
She's probably a little less than that.
Regardless,
115, 120.
Yeah, it's about 3 of them, and she like it was like nothing. He just picked her right up, and
they hugged, nice little goodbye hug, which surprised me. I didn't think she would do that after the night before.
Again, with like exes like that, things swing so, especially with their history. Like they have a very long history, and they can swing one way or the other. And so they leave, and they both say they're on good terms. And obviously they get back together later on. Like it's not like this was the end of the world or anything like that. So TJ hints that it's too hot in Thailand, but then doesn't say anything else. He's like, yeah, it's just really hot. And everyone's freaking out. So they go back to the rooms, or to the not hotel, whatever the house is. And it's not. He tells them just kind of like take a few days off, train. In the middle of all this, Emily is worried about herself in the finale.
Paula's worried that they're going to go somewhere cold.
Yeah, and Emily's I think she's from Denver at this point, so she's used to the snow and all that. But
can I tell you what I miss?
What?
And I'm taking a little bit of a step back. I think we need more hard rock and metal music during eliminations, and more acoustic, your favorite emo,
good one,
kind of stuff when people go home.
Okay. I didn't like the song. I didn't like the song choices in these.
It just evokes a certain kind of emotion. Hence emo.
Yeah, great.
Just Zach's favorite genre.
I really
it's his
wish
favorite word.
You would stop. You're going to tear up that cord.
I'm not being hard on it.
You've been tying in knots for the last like 10 minutes.
Not tight.
Okay, well it's got wires in it that can fray.
It's fine.
And
Anyway.
those headphones suck anyway.
They do. Those are awful headphones. So
Kara gets swimming coaching lessons.
Yeah, from CT and Cook, and it ultimately didn't matter. Even though she was in last place on the thing, they ended up solving their puzzle. But Johnny comes in and he tells them, "Hey, we got a clue from TJ. We're going to Tokyo." And I'm thinking in my head, because I haven't watched through this finale in years. I'm like, did Bananas lie to all of them? Like, did he read this thing and just tell them something completely different than what it says?
That would be so funny.
I don't think the production would let him.
But that would be funny.
But in my mind, I'm like, I know they go to an island. I was like, it's definitely not Tokyo.
Well, I didn't know because I've never seen this before.
Yeah, I didn't.
So I was trying to figure out how they would do a final in the middle of a big city like that.
Well, so
which is what Paula got frazzled about.
Yeah, so was everyone because they've never done a final like that. And that would be almost like The Amazing Race, where they have to like navigate through like crowded cities and all this stuff. Which would be an interesting. I wouldn't mind it as a final necessarily.
Yeah, run it in Tokyo,
it'd
guys.
Be
Let's go.
super different. But on the other side of that coin, Wes was really upset about doing a final in Tokyo because he said that he and CT had been training the whole season for a final in Thailand, in that heat, in that humidity, in that terrain and environment, and to be put somewhere kind of the total opposite. He was really upset about.
Is Tokyo the opposite of Thailand?
Zach, I don't know.
Island,
You're asking the wrong
desert.
guy.
I mean,
things.
if they went like to the Alps or whatever, then like because they've done that where they like completely switch.
But it's major city in the middle of a major city.
Which again,
opposite-wise.
I wonder how you would be able to do that just with like legal things.
And all the people.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with COVID and stuff, you couldn't really do it. But
Well, in 2013, they didn't have COVID.
That
But
is
you
an
know.
astute observation. Here.
Actually, there were COVID stuff back then, just not COVID-19.
Oh God,
That's true.
There had to be 18 others.
Yeah. Because they've had COVID variants since like 2002 or something like that.
That's why it says COVID on your flu or your flu.
By the way,
Lysol cans.
CT doesn't want to be Dan Marino.
Who's Dan Marino?
You don't know who Dan Marino is? He was in Ace Ventura 1.
he was in it. Or it was 2.
1. It was 1. Ace Ventura 2 is when they go to Africa, when nature calls.
That's right.
One is about the dolphin
You're
being
right.
kidnapped.
Yeah, that's right.
He was
the woman turned out to be a man.
Yeah, which you couldn't do these days, I don't think.
Yeah.
That was the whole joke. And also, Courtney Cox is in Ace Ventura 1.
He had his penis tucked into his.
He did. That was it. And that was the big reveal. I was like, oh, this woman is a man, and they did it. So,
wow.
Spoilers for Ace Ventura 1.
Yeah.
Cannibal Corpse is in that movie too, and Jim Carrey was a big fan of them, which is very weird.
You
Are
learn
you
something new every
gonna
day.
list off the rest of the cast?
I could.
God.
Dan Marino was one of the best quarterbacks of like the 90s, but he never won a championship. Like that was saying. And, CT says, I don't want to be Dan Marino. He broke all kinds of passing records. Now people are breaking. Like Drew Brees broke a bunch of them. But
It's a different era, Zach.
it's a different era.
It is different.
But
to.
it was
See-
funny. In 2013, he said, I want to be Tom Brady, which how many rings has Tom Brady won since 2013? At least 3.
You think 3?
Probably, right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. 3 sounds right.
Well, CT thinks he's one of the best people to ever be on the challenge.
He is.
Arguably, not arguable. He is.
Yeah, for sure he is.
He just didn't have the fruits to show it.
Yeah, he had a lot of weird things happen. But they go on the bus. They think they're getting on a transport to take them to a plane to go to Tokyo. And then a little van pulls up, and all these masked men come out. And
Yeah, this was stupid. What was
TJ's
the point of this?
It was like, oh, you aren't going to Tokyo.
Oh, gotcha.
Maybe.
Well, they didn't know what was going on.
Well, here's the thing. One, when they were on the bus, it kept showing like Johnny telling stories or jokes or whatever, and I kept thinking, this is really weird. I feel like something's going to happen because it's just they're too focused on hanging out on the bus. And then once masked TJ kidnaps all of them, I thought maybe they did this just to mess with their minds because they started the final that day, right?
It seemed that way. It seemed that they started because they were all wearing the same clothes and stuff.
Yeah. So all I could think was maybe he just kind of wants to throw them off or whatever and get them less mentally prepared for the final.
I didn't mind that it was a surprise. Oh, hey, by the way, you're not going to Tokyo. You're going to a dock, and the final's starting right now. Like I don't mind that as a concept.
You're not as mentally prepared. You're just thrown into it like, hey, go do it now.
So they get kidnapped. They go out. and then they find out the prize money is $15,000 for third, split between the pairs. Split between each pair. So $30,000 total for third, like $7,500 a piece. And then $35,000 for second, and then $125,000 for first. So there's like $350,000 total up for grabs. But honestly, coming in first, you really only get like $67,000. And then after taxes and all that, you're probably lucky to take home like $45,000. So you got to think just how much the show has changed in the last handful of years.
Yeah.
The money.
It's $1 million
Yeah,
minimum.
even the spinoff is crazy amount of money.
500,000, wasn't it?
For one person.
You might have noticed a change in your neighborhood lately. Yep, Sprint stores are now T-Mobile stores. Now that Sprint is T-Mobile, you get more coverage, value, and benefits than ever before. We've invested billions to bring our 5G from big cities to small towns across America. And great coverage is just the start. From high-speed mobile hotspot data to weekly deals and giveaways, our customers get tons of great benefits. Head to your new T-Mobile store to learn more.
Qualifying service and capable device required. Coverage not available in some areas. Some uses may require certain plan or features. See T-Mobile.com.
Life gets more magical when you dream. So dream of a Disney cruise filled with magic and wonder.
Hiya, pal.
Sail from Florida to Disney's private island paradise and get ready for a dream come true with Disney Cruise Line.
So
That's why whenever TJ announced the prize money, everybody was so excited about
it was a lot of money.
about $125,000 split between you and another person. They're
Yeah.
like, this is life-changing money. Which it is. That's a lot of money. But compared to the $1 million prize that they have now, it just felt like it wasn't much.
Yeah, I mean,
it feels like a third place prize
that's what's
now.
annoying about like the Final Reckoning final, like that, you know, the first season we watched, where it's like, oh, they got to like spend the night in like a hotel and drink wine and eat pizza and stuff, and it was for $1 million.
Yeah.
And like this final sucks. Like
It's bad.
It's not like it's a good one to watch, but it is a tough one to do. And the fact that, you know, you might take home like $50,000 for first place, which is still a lot of money for, you know, 8 weeks of work or whatever. But still, they go to start out on a yacht outside Dream Island, and TJ tells him, you know, you gotta swim to shore
a mile.
Yeah, and then solve a puzzle, and then kayak back, and only the first two teams will make it to day two. The third place team's eliminated. So you still get money, guaranteed, even if you don't finish.
But you don't see the rest of the final.
Yeah, which, again, Jimmy could not have handled this final. And, you know, Jordan and Marlon, I think Jordan and Marlon would have fared pretty well in the final.
Yeah.
But anyway, they get going. Emily and Paula finish the swim first. They pick the horseshoe pattern. Camilla and Jimmy pick horseshoe. Marlon's the last guy to swim in there, same way Cara was the last girl. Wes and CT pick up the horseshoe. Bananas and Frank pick the cross. Marlon and Jordan pick the cube. Paul and Emily change to the cube. Cara and Cook pick the cross. And then Wes and CT finish before anybody else. And then Frank and Johnny switch to the cross. And this is a tough puzzle because the shapes aren't uniform, and it's so big that you can't like take a step back to like really get a full view of everything. And you know, in the middle of it, like Frank doesn't work well under pressure, and that makes Johnny not work well, and then Camilla doesn't work well under pressure, and Jimmy doesn't really do anything well in final stuff.
Well, Frank, when he gets under heat, he just starts frantically doing things like willy-nilly. And then Johnny is the complete opposite. When he feels the pressure, he wants to slow down, take a minute, and look at it. And so Frank just pulling stuff and knocking stuff
but Johnny
over.
did it too.
Frank pulling stuff and knocking stuff over got Johnny really frustrated. So when they picked a new puzzle and started over, Frank had the base set up, and then Johnny just got frustrated and started knocking stuff over too. So they were not working well together.
No, Johnny wouldn't talk. Like, that was the thing, is he just was like, I got it. Let me figure this out, instead of like trying to talk through it. Camilla just gets frustrated. She just like growls and doesn't want to.
She doesn't do well in team settings.
No, what season was she partnered with Nelson? I mean, not Nelson, but Corey for a minute, and they just completely. It was pretty recent. They just completely fell apart because it's one of those where you switch partners every whatever. I don't remember what season it was. It was not long. It may have been Dirty 30, honestly.
You could be right, Zach.
I haven't watched back through those since they aired. So, Wes and CT finished first. They get back to the boat. So they're on to day 2. Cara and Cook actually finish first. They make it back, so they're on to day 2. Then Paul and Emily make it on, and then you got Jordan and Marlon basically knowing that they're probably a minute or 2 behind Frank and Johnny, that they're gonna run out of time, and they're like strategizing about when we get the buzzer for timeout. Like, I'm going to go do this, you do this, so we're not just, like, fumbling around. And this episode ends with basically, you see a kayak flip, and it's so far away that you can't tell who it is. And you got Frank and Johnny a little bit ahead of Jordan and Marlon, and you don't know who's going to make it. I mean, the money's on the team who left first.
You're right, Zach.
So, episode 12, which Jake had already watched and had not told us about, starts, and it's Marlon and Jordan flips. That doesn't surprise anybody, I don't think. Bananas and Frank make it, and then TJ's basically is like, too bad, guys.
That sucks for Jordan and Marlon because they were like right there too.
It seems like they were close. Like, Jimmy and Camilla didn't even leave the beach.
No, because as soon as Paul and Emily got to their kayak, Camilla basically just gave up.
I don't necessarily blame her. There's not, you're not going to make, they're gone, and you're not even close to finishing your puzzle. You're not close to a timeout.
I understand.
It's just, it is what it is. They weren't, honestly, they weren't going to do anything in the final anyway. So, day 2 starts. You're on Dream Island for day 1. This is Nightmare Island. Basically 5 checkpoints, and in between each checkpoint, you have to make a lap around the island, which honestly, they didn't show very much of the running stuff. Like, they just kind of showed them approaching the little podiums and then heading back into the middle.
Well, we've got this theory, Zach, that MTV listens in on this pod, so why don't you tell them you'd like to see more
Hey, can you re-edit this? And
let me see them run.
Do the Snyder cut of Rivals 2?
Which
real time.
Fits well with our current sponsor for the fantasy segment, Skechers.
Well, these were Under Armour.
Go running.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they could make the switch.
Okay. They might. You never know.
You don't think Skechers has top-notch athletic gear?
I don't.
Hey, remember like 5 to 10 years ago when Skechers came out with shape-ups and every woman over 25 had to own 1 or 2 pairs at least?
I was not aware of that.
If you purchased a pair of shape-ups, they were real weird.
Kim Kardashian was the face of that.
Demi Lovato was too. Weird thick tennis shoes, and they had
weird thick
they
tennis
kind
shoes
of
on
they
a thick
kind
girl.
of they kind of bowed like this,
bow-legged.
Yeah, kind of, but like it was almost like you were walking on like moon shoes.
I mean, I gotta be honest.
And they're supposed to make your butt really big, and so everybody went out and bought them, and I was like, those are the ugliest shoes I've ever seen, and I never bought any.
Well, I gotta be honest about 2 things. One, Kim Kardashian had a big butt before those shoes were ever invented.
That's true.
2, when I think of someone that has a big butt, I wouldn't have Demi Lovato even on the top 100. I wouldn't.
Oh, she's got a cake.
But
Demi Lovato is
But
thick.
it's not somebody that I would have been like, when I think of synonymous with big butts.
Miley Cyrus.
No.
I've heard she's real weird. Like, I do not find her attractive at all, but it's like she creeps me out.
Beyond looks, her music sucks.
That's true too. The only good thing she's ever done was Jolene by Dolly Parton.
Jolene.
Yeah.
That's her godmother.
Well, hey, I like a woman in some Skechers now.
Go running, am I right?
Go running, girl. Come on, running into my arms.
When you had Tinder, you were like, Skechers only.
Yeah.
Swipe left.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you wear Nikes, don't even bother.
That's why I only lasted a month.
Adidas, get out of here.
Yeah, Tinder was like, you got to get off here.
Let me see you. Let me see that stride, girl.
Yep, that's it.
So the first checkpoint is basically
the Cracker Barrel Ignoramus game. That's what they call it. If
I knew I have it as a Cracker Barrel game, and CT said as much, but without calling a name brand restaurant. He said a breakfast country buffet or something like that.
A country breakfast restaurant.
Yeah. Which
Are those
is Cracker
primarily
Barrel.
in the South?
I would assume so, but they probably have a bunch of them. I can look that
pull
up.
up the locations
Let me pull
for
it
all
up.
Cracker Barrels.
Most of them are in the South.
It seems like a Southern thing.
I know. I have been.
What you building with that globe?
I needed a website icon.
I've been to one state.
Not PNG. That's what it's like.
I've been to another state where they did not have a Cracker Barrel.
Well,
anywhere near.
also, did you go to everywhere in the state?
Yes. Locations.
You're like, I didn't
and
see it.
hours.
That means they don't have one anywhere.
Yep. That's exactly what it means. Find a Cracker Barrel. Just zoom out and see where all the locations are.
Okay. Wow, is there just the 3?
No.
Yeah, there's only the 3 around us. Let's browse by state.
Oh, we're going to go through all 50. Oh.
Oh,
1, 2,
okay.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, They're in 45 out of the 50 states.
Wow, what 5 states are they not in?
Alaska for sure.
Hawaii?
Hawaii. It is in alphabetical order this way, like
Rhode
left to
Island?
right.
New Jersey.
There's Rhode Island there.
New Jersey.
New Jersey's
Jersey's right
one.
there.
Oh, no, it's right there under North Carolina.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Let's not go through all these.
But definitely Alaska and Hawaii.
Definitely,
Hey.
they're like
What
screw.
about the Dakotas?
Like, we're the original
I
48
see
only.
South
There's
Dakota.
North Dakota, yeah.
I see North Dakota. Utah has at least one Cracker Barrel, so I think we're okay.
I'm not going to Cracker Barrel while we're in Utah.
They got any local spots in Utah?
No, it's only
Nope. Nope,
Cracker
only
Barrel.
chains.
They do have In-N-Out, which you've never been to, and it's really good.
Okay.
It's
been a while since I had a good burger.
Yeah.
We're gonna take you. We're gonna take you to the saloon place we go to.
We're gonna take you. We're gonna take you.
Y'all, you getting fired up
on
over there.
on Main Street because they do bison burgers
Oh, yeah.
and they're so good.
Bison is grass
So,
good meat.
Grass good meat.
The Cracker
Grass.
Barrel
They eat
game.
grass.
The Cracker Barrel game. CT and Wes finish first, and then Cara and Cook finish for the girls first.
Did you like CT's question when he finished the game? Who's the puzzle master?
How do
He's
you
the
how do you
puzzle
expect
master.
me to answer that?
Sometimes I just want to know how you feel about certain things. Quotes.
Indifferent because I didn't even write it down. Bananas.
Man, I don't think you would have wrote it down if Frank would have said it.
I would have. I like Frank a lot.
Bananas and Frank finished second, and
Johnny kept getting frustrated with Frank because Frank was going willy-nilly with this puzzle too. Yes, he did.
I've said it. He gets
frazzled.
most easily worked up into a tizzy out of
Yeah.
anybody that's ever been on the channel.
Now I don't know about that.
I'm on it. I'm on the hill.
I'm not going to give that game wise. Now drama wise, yes.
Again, I'm not saying he has the worst temper.
No.
I'm saying he's the most easily worked up into a tizzy.
He does get
Doesn't take a
Into
lot.
a tizzy pretty
easily
easy.
provoked.
It doesn't take
Easily
much of
tizzied.
anything. Because half the time I look at him thinking, what's he mad at, man?
Well, checkpoint 2, we kind of realized that every time the first team gets there, they're opening it for the second team, which I guess is an equalizer to an extent.
Well, Cara and Cook finished this puzzle first
Mm-hmm.
and then got to the next checkpoint. And because they had to open the chain fence, that basically ate up a lot of the lead that they had on Paula and Emily.
Well, the food was the big one.
Yeah,
Like,
the food was
they
the
still were ahead
equalizer.
after checkpoint 2.
But the fact that they had to go through and break that fence, it did eat up some of the lead that they had.
But the second checkpoint was basically a math problem, geometry, Pythagorean theorem, a squared b squared equals c squared. I don't know what math CT was doing because he was getting like 79,000.
He got 29,000.
It was nowhere near the right thing. But anyway, you have 5 ropes. You get one guess. If you cut the wrong one, then you have to cut all 5. And it's not even a knife. They're using a file. And
That'd take forever.
It works, but yeah, it's very. It would burn your arms out really fast. And so After a while, Wes and CT just decide to pick one and cut through it, and it turns out they picked the right one.
They got really lucky.
So they get to run, and then Cook happens to look over and notice that it's the same numbers, it's just a different color, and they just took off running after one rope. So she's like, let's just cut the same number they did. And I was like, that's using her brain.
Yeah, work
And
smarter, not harder.
They cut right through it. They get to leave. And then the next two teams, they're just stuck there. And, Emily finally works it all out, but they're there for a while, it seems. And
She said she had to do all of the math instead of just cutting through all the ropes because her mom is a math teacher and she'd be disappointed if she cheated.
I mean, she got it right.
She
Well, it's not
did.
cheating.
Well, not
It was just getting it wrong.
but it would just take forever.
Oh, it would. Their arms would have been done if they
Yeah.
had to cut through 5 of those.
Which my question was, if Cook could look at Wes and CT's answer and just figure out it's a different color, but the same answer, why didn't Emily and Paula or Johnny and Frank do that?
I just don't think that they thought about it because they looked like they were on opposite sides.
Yeah,
Just
because
look over though. Walk over
I
and
just
check.
don't think it happened.
yeah, and
No, I
Cook-
know it didn't happen.
Cook's not gonna like make it obvious.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey, we can just look over here, guys.
Yeah.
Like
And-
that's something you're gonna kind of keep to yourself, right?
Because they did figure out that they have the same numbers because Frank and them were like, I mean, Emily just told them, hey, it's 184. And so they're like, oh, cut the color of 184. It's just, I think in the heat of the moment, they didn't even think about, oh, well, we could just look at what rope they cut and figure it out because there was no rules against it. And so they get to checkpoint 3 and it's food. And this might be the worst food.
Has to be, right?
This is the greatest equalizer.
But I mean, this might be the worst food elimination part we've seen because
We've never seen more yakking.
the
But,
projectile.
Yeah, the amount of force behind the vomiting is unreal.
It wasn't even the force. It was the amount of just like liquid that came out of these people.
There was one point when Kara bent over at a 90-degree angle and projectile vomited with such force that it came out her nose at the same time. And it went on for a while. It was like one steady stream.
CT
became like a fountain.
and Kara
one
both
point.
had ones on camera that went on about double the amount of time you would expect for a throw up like that to happen.
Yeah,
But-
Solid
like
5
I thought
seconds.
it wouldn't end.
Yeah.
And that doesn't sound like a lot, but like 5
When
seconds
you're
throwing
doing
up
it-
is a long time.
and like
Yeah.
continuously, not like it was
it's
just like
like,
they opened their mouth and it was like a faucet got turned on.
Yeah.
And it was like it's bad. And like you saw Cook, like she's just like on her knees throwing up on herself, and it's like
Yeah.
when you're that miserable, like
Nothing matters to you anymore.
Frank at one point said that his throat was just sore.
yeah,
And
because you gotta think that's all like acid and stuff
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. This is where I started to see Johnny's performance not like his usual performance in finals. Because so far he's been like the slowest runner. He's just been like kind of jogging along. Frank has had to tell him several times, hey, pick up your pace. Let's go. We got to hurry. And then at the food, he's barely even eating anything. And Frank is trying to make up for his wasted time by like double timing it.
In the food, there's 5 plates. You have to finish them all. There's chilies. There's and by the way, these are like Thai chilies, and so like
It's super hot.
if you go to the Thai restaurant here locally, I don't know if you have, Jake. We can't because Hannah's allergic to it. But when I've gone,
yeah, me and you got tired
Okay.
years ago.
okay, so they're like, hey, it's a 1 through 10 like spice scale. If they tell you like no, like it's really spicy, like take them at their word because they are used to eating like those type of like peppers and stuff. Like I used to get about a 5 out of 10, and it could take you out. So like now, like the last time I went, I think I got like a 2